Most people are saying they should be stopped at source. Why is this happening? We need to get more boats, more people out to stop it. But you're saying the opposite in a sense. Your argument is actually let more people come in, make it easier for them to do so. Why is that your argument?
I think the UK has a slightly overinflated sense of its attraction to people seeking asylum. Actually, most people seeking asylum don't come here. The numbers that we're talking about are relatively small. These people have a right to seek asylum under the Geneva Convention, and they shouldn't have to risk their lives to do that. We're pushing...
Why can't they seek it in France, though?
Well,
They're coming
you're talking about
there.
the Dublin regulations, and there's all sorts of issues around the Dublin regulations. It basically means that people... Countries like Greece and Italy, which are the first country in which people come into from outside of Europe, end up taking disproportionately far more people, and we're taking disproportionately far fewer. We have a duty to step in. Not everybody wants to come here. I think we need to be really clear about that. And I'd rather we weren't calling them migrants. These people are almost certainly going to have valid asylum claims, so they're asylum seekers rather than migrants. At the moment, we're pushing them into the hands of the people traffickers. That's what the UK government is doing. We could stop this overnight if we... You know, we're a small charity. It's not up to us to write government policy. But if we set up an office in France, process people's valid, almost certainly valid asylum claims, and then gave them safe passage, we'd stop this overnight.
Okay. Well, let's go over to Charlie Elphicke now, the MP there in Dover that's facing the brunt of a lot of people who are making these perilous channel crossings. What do you make of that suggestion, then, that actually we should be setting up a better system to assess claims there in France, because a lot of them may have genuine claims, and then that would stop them trying to do this crossing?
Well, I think it's an entirely irresponsible view. What it'll do is encourage people to make dangerous journeys from conflict zones across the Mediterranean, across Europe, to come to Calais, to try to make dangerous journeys across the English Channel. What we need to be doing is to be stopping migration at source, and that's what we're doing for our international aid budget. Over £1 billion has been spent providing safe places near to conflict zones, and also our work with DFID, with migration compacts, to try to encourage countries to honour their international responsibilities. And we've got to remember, these migrants that we're talking about, these Iranians coming over in small craft, are in France. France is a safe country, and that's where they ought to be making asylum claims, not trying to come here.
You made several points there. I mean, one of which you said that what you're doing is trying to deal with it at source. Clearly not working, because they're still coming. So if it was working, they wouldn't be. And what about the points that you made that says, actually, you know, we are taking a disproportionately small amount of these asylum seekers, migrants, refugees, because our country is further away from the place they can get to first, and we should be sharing in it more?
Well, the first point is we're providing a place of refuge and safety close to conflict zones. DFID's invested well over £1 billion in doing that, far more than any other European country. And secondly, the best way to stop migrants trying to cross the English Channel in dangerous and unseaworthy craft is to make it impossible. In other words, Britain and France should work together to make sure that these small crafts are sent back to France so that they know that they won't be able to cross, and the traffickers captured and brought to justice.
You turn them round in the Channel and send them back on the same craft?
Well, I think it's a humanitarian and compassionate thing to do. The reason is that people making these crossings are caught in great danger. Men, women and children could easily have a tragedy in the English Channel. 200 have arrived so far. We've been very lucky. The only way of stopping it, history tells us, is to make sure that they can't have hope of successfully entering the country. That is the best deterrent, and that's why I'm saying we ought to recall our border vessels to form a modern Dover patrol, to work with the French, to make sure that these crossings can't be successful. Well,
let's, on that note, just go over to Bridget, because, Bridget, I mean, you know, we heard you gasp then when you heard what Charlie Elphicke was saying.
I mean, Charlie called me irresponsible. I think that's deeply irresponsible. I don't think we have a migrant crisis here. I think we have a moral crisis. The way the government is dealing with this issue is appalling. These people are in need, and we need to be helping them. I come from Folkestone, and during the First World War, when Germany invaded Belgium and people were displaced, as they always are, This country took in 250,000 people from Belgium in a couple of months. They came in small boats across the Channel. There's a picture in the Folkestone Museum of the mayor in his chains and flower girls welcoming them. What has changed? When did we become so hard? This is an absolute disgrace.
But what about the fact there that Charlie Elphicke was making the point about, you know, tackling it at source, the international development aid that's trying to go into making sure that, you know, there's more stability, I guess, in people's countries, so they don't want to make this in the first place? Because by allowing people to come in, aren't we then encouraging more people to take this step in the first place?
You don't leave your home and family unless the push factors are enormous. I agree, absolutely, we should be doing more to help people to stay where they are if that's what they want to do. But if people are seeking asylum in this country, we have a duty to help them.
Charlie, do you believe that the government is handling this well? Sajid Javid is back at his desk today, but Gavin Williamson has said, well, hang on, you can have any part of our military might to help you, the Navy, the RAF, the Army. Do you think he is doing a good job, or should other departments and people like Gavin step in and help? What would you like to see done?
Well, we have currently one lonely patrol boat here in the English Channel. That's why I'm saying we ought to have all 5 of our border cutters operating off our coast, and the best way to work together with the French in cooperation to make sure there can be no hope of a successful crossing, because that's the best way to stop these small boats before there is a tragedy in the middle of the English Channel.
When we look at the figures involved in this, though, you know, we've had a couple of hundred over the last few weeks, haven't we? There are bigger issues at stake when we look at other figures involving people who are here who shouldn't be. Possibly more than 600,000 foreigners here overstaying their visas, maybe in the UK. The Home Office has admitted they've no idea if 600,000 people are overstaying their visas, whether they've actually gone home. Is there something wider here that needs to be done about how we control the people that are here, whether they're legal or illegal?
Well, that's why I've been calling for a visa waiver system like they have in the United States to help boost our borders budget and to make sure that we know where people are, so that when they overstay, we know where to start looking to find them. I think visa overstaying is a particular issue that needs to be tackled and needs to be dealt with. And also we need to make sure that our immigration system is working in the right way, so we attract the brightest and the best from around the world and people with the skills we need, but we make sure we have appropriate controls.
I mean, Bridget, that is the point for a lot of people of why they voted for Brexit. They wanted to take back border control. They were concerned about some of the scale of immigration. When you talk, as you were, about the Second World War and 250,000 refugees being taken in, people think, are you saying we should take 250,000? Should we take 250,000 every year, every month? As you say, we are facing a huge... In the coming years, there's going to be a lot more people on the move. Where do we stop?
We have to do what's right.
Where do we stop?
Well, I don't think everybody wants to come here. I don't think people want to leave. No, I don't, sorry, but this is scaremongering.
We don't know
talking about...
Hang on, but no, this is what people said about when... This is one of the concerns about EU immigration and freedom of movement. People said, no, they won't want to come, and then too many people did, and it upset a lot of people.
That is a totally different issue.
It is a different argument, but you're relying on psychology there.
Let me speak, please. It's a totally... Well, you weren't. It's a totally different issue. We're talking about asylum seekers and we're talking about the Geneva Convention. Brexit has got nothing to do with the Geneva Convention. It doesn't, whether we're in or out, that doesn't change. Our duty to accept people with genuine asylum claims does not change.
Bridget, when would you stop? Would you take in 250,000 people a month?
We took in 250... I don't think 250,000 people are going to come. We look at genuine... Well, we look at genuine asylum claims.
How would you feed them? How would you house them? These are the practical problems. You're looking at me and laughing, but
I'm not laughing. I know that's what people feel because the media has generated a false narrative.
Well, you're on the media. Give the right narrative.
I am.
How would you?
I can't get a word in edge.
No, you're not answering my question. But you're just accusing the media and talking about other laws.
But it's a false narrative. It's just not going to happen. We're not going to have people don't want to. We do need to be working.
But what is your limit then? When would you say this is too much? And how would you feed and clothe and house people within communities across the country that already feel stretched?
In the 7th biggest economy in the world, we can afford to look after people that need it. At the moment...
How many?
At the moment, I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that question is. However many people need help, we need to be helping them to the best of our capacity. At the moment, we do a tiny amount compared to other countries in Europe, and we need to be stepping up. What we're doing at the moment is completely immoral.
Well, it's fascinating to hear what you have to say. And, Charlie, I'm sure you were reacting there, weren't you, to some of those points? But it looks like... Sorry, go on, say your point.
Can I just make the point that we're hearing is that Bridget believes in entirely uncontrolled immigration and doesn't believe we should have any kind of border force, any kind of border control.
No, Charlie, you're mixing. You're doing the same thing. It's a false narrative. No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to. No, I'm not going to let you make this false.
To be fair, Charlie, she's not saying uncontrolled immigration. She's saying
not saying
those
uncontrolled
in need
immigration
should
well,
be taken in.
I'm not sure what border controls she believes in. She doesn't sound like she believes in any border controls at all.
Well, that's just ridiculous, Charlie. You're being rude, and that's unnecessary.
The responsible thing to do is to do what we're doing, which is to provide help near conflict zones.
You are being irresponsible.
People making
your government
dangerous journeys. And I think
have a moral
the encouragement
crisis
of people like Bridget to make these dangerous journeys across Europe is the wrong thing to do. It ends up like the Calais jungle and the Calais migrant magnet that we saw some years ago. We can't have a return to the bad old days, and that's why we need strong border security.
OK,
You are creating an entirely false narrative, Charlie, and that's a disgrace.
You're both going to have to agree to disagree on this one.